Happy New Year, Brett.
Happy New Year to you as well, Christa.
We have a new name today. This is our inaugural episode of Everyday Therapy Podcast.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
Very exciting. We did a photo op, even have our pictures together.
Yes.
And so I don't know where that's posted. Maybe it'll actually be on Spotify. I have no idea.
I think it will. I think it'll be on like wherever podcasts come to you. They will be there.
So if you see the picture, I'm the one on the right.
I'm the one who is a woman.
Okay. So we are happy. And I like this name, Everyday Therapy. It's kind of positive. Some people can look at it and be kind of like, everyday therapy? I don't even want to do therapy. You know, every day. Yeah. I like it because therapy is something we are kind of doing every day. Because we are looking at our behavior. We're looking at other people's behaviors every day. And that's what therapy is it's looking at our behaviors. And part of our behaviors are our thoughts and our emotions and how that's affecting relationships. So, you know what, listeners, we're all doing therapy every day. Right.
Not just therapists. And I think one of the main goals of the podcast is the idea that even if you're not actively in therapy right now, there's so many good things you can take away from all these things we've been teaching, you know, the skills, and we talked about a book last month. And so we think there's something in here for everyone. Every day.
Yes. So we are happy about the name, and we believe it really empowers people. That's kind of what I'm hearing you say, which is consistent with Nystrom's mission, right? To empower people to become the best version of themselves. And you can do that every day. Even though this comes out once a week, you could listen to it every day. Right.
There's probably enough episodes right now, or by now, where
I think we're coming up on a.
Are we going to do something? We're going to do something special for 100.
Yeah,
we have to have one of those things that goes like pew 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 pew.
Yes,
like an air horn,
some bumper music too. Yeah, that would be
pump up the jam.
Yeah, you could sing a song.
Oh, well, all right.
We've been waiting for that, Christa. Well, we're waiting to jump in here today. And today we're going to be doing a long stretch of something that is very applicable every single day. It's super empowering. It's dialectical behavioral therapy, and talking a lot about what that is. It's a mouthful.
I was going to say, what the? Yeah. How do we break that down?
We break it down to DBT, and that doesn't help if we don't understand what dialectical in the first place. But I think we get therapy, we get behavioral.
Yeah, I think that first word is the one that most people are like, wait, what?
Yeah, don't worry. It just means the opposite of dichotomous. Okay, so moving on. All right, what do we mean by all these big words? Right. And dialectical means simply that you can hold together at the same time two things that seem like opposites. Okay. Like up can be down at the same time. What? Give me a break. Yeah.
Whoa.
And something can be right and wrong at the same time. What? Like, you know. And this is important because to think dialectically is crucial to our mental health, because the opposite of it, like I just said, is dichotomous thinking. And when we're thinking dichotomously, we're thinking all or nothing.
Okay.
It's right or it's wrong. It's you're with me or you're against me.
Yes. Okay.
And so
it's too far in each extreme.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I think hopefully people are listening and saying, hey, that's our culture today.
Yes. Good point.
Absolutely.
It's all this or all that. You're all the way over here. You're all the way over there.
Yes. You're either all right or you are all wrong. You are evil or good. Yes.
Yeah, right.
And what thinking dichotomously does is it creates anxiety. It's a natural way for us to think. So we're not going to be judgmental of it. We're just going to realize we do this because our brains neurologically are going to think in the most efficient way possible. And the most efficient way is it's right, it's wrong.
You know what? That is a time saver. So I can see how from like a evolutionary, like our brains are trying to survive all the time. It's like, I need a quick answer. I need a quick filter. I can't be like doing a pros and cons list for everything. Right? So I need either good or bad category now.
No. Right? Yeah, especially now when we get into survival mode, if we're in fight or flight, if our emotions are at like an 8, 9, 10 out of 10, I need to think as efficiently as possible because there's a threat, there's danger.
Right.
So it's tremendously helpful. And sometimes there really isn't danger, except our emotions are so intense and we believe they're so credible that oh, there must be danger. And then we act or we react. We form these conclusions so quickly.
Are you saying sometimes our thinking can stress us out?
I think so.
Okay, so if we think in all or nothing categories,
yes,
that can be more anxiety. It can create more anxiety.
Yes, and then it's hard to manage that anxiety too once it's there. When I continually think this way, I can't manage it. In fact, I just get more entrenched in my position.
Aha.
So
sure. Okay.
So that's what dialectical means in dialectical behavioral therapy. It's a big component. The main dialectic we want to hold on to in dialectical behavioral therapy is this idea of acceptance and change. It's like a teeter-totter.
I was just going to say, I have that scale image in my mind where it's like two things and they're balancing each other out, right?
Yes, yes. We want that balance. And the main balance is acceptance and change.
Okay.
And so in therapy, and I would say just everyday therapy, everyday life, we want to have that balance of accepting myself and accepting others and change. I need to change. I can do better. Other people need to change. Other people can do better. However, this is crucial, we always lead with acceptance or validation first.
That was a question I had because I was like, all right, I'm out in the world. I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to have a dialectic of acceptance and change. So how do I navigate that in like a, everyday example, right?
Great. I'm so glad you brought it up. I'll give you my examples where I've had to use it the most.
Okay.
Is driving.
Ooh, good one. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Go
so
ahead.
I'm driving. Somebody cuts me off.
Ooh.
And now I'm angry. I'm immediately angry, and I start thinking in all or nothing categories.
Okay.
And so I think this person is such a jerk, right? Like, I can't believe this person, how selfish. How can somebody do that? They don't care about anybody else on the road.
Right.
They're probably this, they're probably that. So I'm forming all these conclusions, all these judgments.
Yep.
And I've placed this person as entirely bad. Now, the interesting thing is, I hold those views until I catch a reflection in their side mirror.
Okay.
And suddenly it's a real person. It's not just, a Ford Explorer.
Yeah, true.
And nonetheless, I have had to really try to apply this in driving and say, ooh, wow, that really ticked me off. And that's our favorite word. Okay.
Yeah.
And this person maybe is got something stressful going on. Maybe they're running to the hospital and maybe they drive like I do sometimes, where I'm not as careful as I could be. And so the key word there is and it's saying I'm going to include this other aspect of the balance.
So you don't stop at the first part, which was the upset and this person cut me off and I can't believe they did this.
Correct.
You keep going to say, and there's more to the story.
And, I like that a lot. I like that. There's more because we do. We end with a period a lot of times and say, this person's such a jerk, period. And there's more.
Right.
It's kind of like an infomercial. But wait, there's more. And this person could be really stressed.
Yeah.
Or there might be a prequel to this story of this person too, like what's going on. And so we're trying to pull back, see a greater context. Now, instead of putting in a period, we put in a comma, insert the word and, so we can continue the story. I really like that.
Okay.
The other thing we do, and if we don't add a period, we do add a comma, and instead of replacing it with and, we put in a but.
I was going to say we're going to have to talk about but at some point.
Because a lot of times we let our butt hang out. Right? Can I say that on the podcast?
Now we are going to have to go back and edit this.
Yes.
And we're going to have to censor you.
I know. I'm living on the edge here. But and we all know what I'm talking about when we let our butt hang out. We've been the recipients of people letting their butt hang out.
Right.
So it's sort of like, hey, Christa, and I was late today. Hey, I'm really sorry I was late today, but... And it really doesn't matter. Okay. Nothing I say after that matters, because when I say, hey, I'm really sorry, but I've just invalidated that I'm sorry.
Okay.
And all you're hearing is my rationale for being late.
Sure.
That's what buts do. They invalidate the person, the person's feelings, etc.
Okay.
So, hey, I know you're super stressed, but it'll get better.
Okay. I know that guy cut you off in traffic, but think about it this way.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm like,
I don't want to.
I don't want it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. The power of just one word.
Isn't it? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So, and we've talked many times in the past, the power of should, just that word.
Yep.
And now we're talking about just seriously inserting an and instead of buts. Hey, I'm really sorry I was late today, Christa. And I had a rough night's sleep. And I'm really sorry.
Yeah. I forgive you.
We're being much more inclusive in our language, but that means I'm being much more inclusive in reality because language creates reality.
Okay.
So
it does. It does.
Super important. We'll talk about that.
Okay. So noticing when your butt's hanging out.
Yes.
And then substituting the word and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. So
that's the main dialectic.
Correct.
Is acceptance and change.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
That is so good how you recaptured that. See, I led with validation.
Oh, I felt it.
But we need to keep moving. No, I see what I just did. I let my butt hang out. And we need to keep moving on. So we're going to talk about some of the assumptions we have in therapy, in dialectical behavioral therapy. And seriously, I have people that go through this, adults that go through this, teens that go through this, adults that they'll say, I so wish I would have learned all of these skills and different ways of looking at the world when I was so much younger. I wasted so much of my life.
Sure.
And we have to help them understand that's an all or nothing category right there in and of itself. And you're learning it now. Sure. And your life is getting better now.
Sure.
So we're going to start with these assumptions. Yes.
I want to just add one note too, because last month we, in December, we did a series on the 4 Agreements, the book by Don Miguel Ruiz. And actually, one of the 4 agreements, and these are kind of tenets to live by, one of the 4 agreements was make no assumptions. So I want to tell people that why would we do that talk about make no assumptions, and then now we're talking about DBT assumptions?
Why are we doing that?
Well, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I think Don Miguel Ruiz's point in saying make no assumptions is our assumptions are often negative. And when our assumptions are negative, we suffer because that's now our worldview. So what I'm to understand about these DBT assumptions is they are actually positive.
Yes.
So we're kind of saying, yes, make no assumptions. And if you are going to assume, did you like that?
Yeah, it was so good.
If you are to assume, have them assume the best.
Assume the best.
Okay. So that's my caveat for the listener.
And Don Miguel, if you're listening, please let us know if we're off track. But I think you're right. Yeah, the assumptions we tend to make he's basically saying, don't make negative assumptions.
Exactly. Thank you.
So how do we start doing that? Well, the first assumption that is pretty positive and really hard for us is to assume that everybody we are coming in contact with, and that includes ourselves, are doing the best that they can.
Ooh. Wow. That's a big, I just have to let that simmer for a second
And I appreciate that. You actually did that for me this morning.
I did?
I had a rough night's sleep.
Oh.
I was up for 2.5 hours. And I slept in this morning. And I'm thinking the worst in myself,
Sure.
And I had to combat that with, I'm doing the best I can. I had a rough night's sleep, and I'm not trying to excuse it.
No, right.
And I'm doing the best I can. And then when I texted you, you were very accommodating, very understanding. You were leading with validation. And I felt like you truly believed Brett's doing the best he can.
I did.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely overslept before. And I was like, man, I get it. Plus, I honestly was running a little bit late. So it kind of, it works itself out. But no, good. I'm glad. I'm glad.
And we're doing the best we can. But people, we struggle with this, don't we?
Yes. And actually, when you were saying how you were sort of, you were being sort of hard on yourself about oversleeping.
Yes.
I think more than assuming that people, I think assuming that I'm doing the best I can is maybe one of the more challenging parts of this. Maybe it's because I'm a therapist, or I don't know, but I
think it's because you're human.
Assuming others are doing the best they can is a little easier for me.
It is, right.
But in my day-to-day life, assuming that I'm doing the best I can at any given point in time, that's a big step. That's gonna stay with me today, I think.
It really helped me.
Yeah.
Because I will beat myself up.
There you go.
I will
why didn't I?
loathe myself. Because I'm not a perfectionist in any stretch. Because everything I try to fix or create, I ruined.
Sure.
Except for relationships. I realized a couple of years ago, I am a relational perfectionist. So I have to be perfect
in your relationships.
In all of my relationships.
Oh, that's cool to know.
And when I'm not, I go into all or nothing thinking. Because perfectionism is all or nothing thinking. We did do that was like one of our earlier podcasts with Rick Rittmaster, a DBT therapist, mind you.
Perfect.
And so when we don't live up to our own expectations, which is what it is to be a human, we kind of go into the all or nothing mentality.
Sure.
So your point's a great one. It's hard for us, but I would also say for you and I, for our listeners, to think about who is this hardest for me right now? Could be a spouse, could be a partner, could be children.
Person in traffic.
Could be the person in traffic.
Who just cut you off.
Yes. Could be somebody at work, could be a boss, could be an employee, a colleague. The list is kind of endless.
Could be a politician.
Oh, wow. I can't believe we're getting edgy now.
I can't believe I went there. I know, right?
So glad you went there.
But again, just events that happen in the world, people who are,
Right. And I'm glad you brought this up because and if we were a little edgy, let's get a little more edgy. So
I opened the can.
When we look at politics really, in my mind, mirrors wrestling. All that fake WWE wrestling. Because what made wrestling be such a financial empire that it is it's not that they created heroes. They created villains. And they made villains out to be so bad and so unredemptive. There's nothing good. Like, this is the most evil incarnate person. And people would show up and they would watch and they would go to matches because they wanted to see this evil person get their due. And so then they had the heroes come in and try to dethrone them.
Wow.
And if you watch it, you see how they just get people so upset by creating this person is all bad.
Yep.
Now, politicians and news media does very much the same thing. It's pure psychology.
Yep.
Where they create this evil person. I'm not going to name them, okay?
Yeah, right.
But it doesn't matter. It can be a Democrat or a Republican, and it can be this person is all bad. And the reason I bring this up is because it pains me. I see what this does to us individually and to us as a culture.
Yes.
When I'm thinking that this politician or this person is all bad and there's nothing redemptive of this person, what's happening to me? I'm all or nothing in my thinking, very dichotomous. My emotional intensity goes way up. I'm anxious, I'm angry, I'm depressed, I feel powerless.
Yep.
I just want to see everything confirm my position now. And everyone is against me who doesn't agree with me. There's no common ground in our culture.
Lonely.
And now what do we say? When we're like this, we not only have an intensity of emotion, we can't manage it.
Yep.
And I've never met anybody who's completely unredemptive. There's nothing good in them at all. So I think it's crucial that we recognize this in ourselves and as a culture as a whole. This is real problematic. And if we look for it, we'll see it.
I agree.
It's everywhere.
Preach.
Yes, I know. Okay. So you can hear me. I'm getting off my soapbox right now.
Back
down to earth.
I'm glad we touched on that.
It just pains me because I do see how polarized we are, and it's really unfortunate. So when we think about people are doing the best they can, think about politicians. Maybe not the politician you agree with. Maybe it's the one you
disagree with.
Wow.
Yep. See how it goes. Try it on.
So can we believe people are doing the best they can? And why not? What's getting in the way of that?
Right.
A lot of times we like to think I can't think the best about this person because that person is the problem. But if I can't think positively at this person's doing the best they can, that's not about something outside of me. That's something within me.
Right.
So that's my problem.
Yep.
It's my issue. I have to work on that.
Yep.
And so I have to ask, why? What's going on inside of me that I just can't think the best about this person right now? It's challenging.
It is.
All right, let's move on to number 2. We're not going to get through all of these.
That's
today.
okay.
How much time do we have left?
It's been about 20 minutes.
Okay, so we get 10 minutes. We'll see how far we get.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Okay, we're doing the best we can.
We are doing the best we can.
Isn't that liberating?
It is because, we're going to get through a few more of these. It'll be fine. We're doing the best we can.
We're doing the best. And we can do better.
And we can
we'll come back to that one in a moment.
Okay, so the next one, I believe, is people want to improve. Okay, so not only are people doing the best they can, in general, myself included.
Yes.
People in general want to improve, including me. I want to improve. You want to improve.
Right.
Everyone I encounter wants to improve. And that one's tricky too.
It is tricky, especially with ourselves.
Right?
Because what do we say? Well, if I really wanted to improve.
And we do that to other people all the time. Yes. If so-and-so really, really cared.
Yes.
Right? If so-and-so really cared about me, if they really cared about this job, if they really blah, 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 right? They would improve. They would be better by now. Right?
Right. And notice the should statement that's inherent with that.
Yep.
They should have changed by now.
Sure. Which is not an acceptance statement.
Not at all. And we are leading with change now.
Okay.
And there's no acceptance.
Right.
Yes.
Right. I want all change. I can't accept how things are right now.
Well, and here's an important thing too. When we lead with change, we're just kind of adopting the MO of our culture. And everybody knows immediately what I'm talking about because they know that we live in our world with the idea that when I change, then I'll be acceptable.
Ooh, yes. Right. If when and only when, right?
Yes. Yes. And then the difficulty with that too, I think, is when somebody actually does change and they achieve something, then there's pressure to have to maintain what they've attained. Mm-hmm. And that brings, I used to see this working with teens, teenage girls with eating disorders.
Okay.
And I worked in a hospital setting and I realized, hey, these girls, I thought, well, maybe they were just felt that they were really overweight and they just sort of overcompensated. And I realized, no, these were young gals who, by any standard, were very attractive gals. And I thought, well, why would they feel this need to keep losing weight when they already were thought of as very attractive? And I realized it was the pressure to maintain that appearance.
Right.
And it just led to, this downward spiral. So I even get to that point of change and it's still not good enough because I have to maintain this.
Totally.
And we talked about this too, resistance to change. Didn't we do a podcast on that where
at some point
I think we
must have, we meant to.
I know my staff and I talked about it. People do want to change. We do.
Yep.
And we don't.
Right.
Notice that dialectic.
We want to change and we don't.
And we don't.
Always change.
It kind of at the same time. I want to lose weight. Biggest New Year's resolution people have. I want to lose weight. I really do. And, I eat Oreos the way they're supposed to be. One sleeve at a time. Right? So I want to change and I don't. So it's a really, that's an interesting dialectic. We don't judge it. We just say, yeah, that's kind of how we roll. It's kind of how I roll.
Sure.
And it doesn't mean I don't want to improve.
Okay.
It doesn't mean other people don't want to improve.
Right.
So we can move from those should statements and just realize, I'm shoulding on myself and on somebody else.
Okay.
So that we want to, I'll say this too, there's no empirical evidence that this is true. Everything we're talking. These are just assumptions. So this hasn't been researched.
Okay.
But we do know this. When we act these assumptions out, these more positive assumptions, and these more, I would say, balanced assumptions, it goes better for us. It does. It just goes better for me personally in my relationships with other people. Sure. When I can believe people are doing the best they can and they really want to improve.
Right. Right.
Really tough stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So let's do number 3.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So people are doing the best they can. They want to improve and people need to do better, try harder, be more motivated to change.
Ooh.
Now we've switched to the other side.
I was going to say, what?
Now we're on the other side of the teeter-totter.
Yeah. Okay. So the fact that people are doing the best they can and want to do even better does not mean that these things are enough to solve the problem.
Yes. Okay. If we just stop with acceptance.
I see.
We never have change.
Okay.
And that's what I've heard from people that go into therapy. Have you heard this?
Go ahead.
Yeah, all my therapist did was just sit there and agree with me and tell me how bad things were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I have unfortunately heard that.
And so there's a lot of acceptance, but there's no change. There's no challenge. There's no confrontation. Mm-hmm. And people, a lot of times people come into therapy because their whole life has been, I'm not good enough.
Exactly.
People have told me, I know myself, I'm not good enough. In other words, I know I need to change. And there's such a heavy emphasis on I'm not good enough, I have to change.
Sure.
So notice this is a balance of both. And good therapy is a balance of both.
Yeah.
We always lead with acceptance and validation. We don't stop there. We have to have some balance of change. Okay,
sure. I could see someone hearing this assumption and saying like, wait. You first we said I'm doing the best I can. We said I want to improve, but now we're saying, but I need to do better and try harder.
Ooh. You just let your butt hang out.
Uh-oh.
There it was on the podcast.
Oh boy.
Did you hear it?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. No, that's good. I'm glad you noticed that because it was feeling like the first two were about to be canceled out.
Yes.
Oh, the third
thank you.
Right?
Yes.
So what you're saying is it doesn't cancel out if you use the word and.
It's inclusive.
People are doing the best they can. People want to improve, and they also need to do better, try harder, and be more motivated to change.
Yes.
Man, both can be true at the same time.
Mind blowing.
Whoa.
I know. Yes.
In real time. My head just exploded.
It is fun. And, people will use this. Mm-hmm. The first two assumptions they use it's their get out of jail free card. Well, I'm doing the best I can.
That's true.
And we kind of feel like, how do I challenge that?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, they're doing the best they can.
What are you supposed to Right. What are you supposed to say? No, you're not.
Yeah, that's right. Right. You suck, So we can say, yeah, you are. You are doing the best you can. And we can sincerely agree with them and believe and assume, you know what, I think you are doing the best you can. Mm-hmm. I see that. Mm-hmm. And I think you can do better. Mm. And who's the person we need to do that with most?
Ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I love it. Okay. This is great.
Right. So as I think the timing of this is nice too, because as we do our New Year's resolutions, a lot of times we approach it all or nothing. Either I'm going to do this or I'm not. We don't look at if we're making progress.
Sure.
And so we think, well, I'm doing the best I can, and my best still isn't good enough, so we stop. Or we just live with, I just need to do better. I need to try harder. But there's no sense of validation in any of our efforts or accomplishments, as small as they might seem.
Right.
So there's no balance. And so then there's no change.
Okay, I think we can squeeze in one more because there is a concerning word in this sentence. I'll read it, see if you catch it.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the fourth assumption, people may not have caused all of our own problems, but they have to solve them anyway. Is that a typo?
That is a typo.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because you heard the
You're all over it. Yeah.
But,
You're going to see butts hanging out everywhere. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to, I think ironically, when we see people, letting their butts hang out, your quality of life will improve. You'd think, it wouldn't, but it will. And
that joke won't be getting old for me. Okay, so instead, this should read, people may not have caused all of our own problems and they have to solve them anyway?
Yes.
That's what it needs to. Okay.
Absolutely.
The correct version. Did you cross it out in yours?
I did.
Okay, good.
I did.
Good. All right. So people have to change their own behavioral responses and alter their environment for their life to change. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Why?
Because we're not just staying in, I'm doing the best I can.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I have to take responsibility for my life.
Yes.
And if I don't, nothing changes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we like to, I think, subconsciously use this as kind of our get out of jail free card. Is like, I didn't cause this. This is unfair.
Yep.
And I think we hold on to that because people will tell us, you need to change, you need to change, you need to change. But we hold on to, but this is unfair. This shouldn't have happened. Notice the should. This is wrong. And they don't feel any validation for the pain and the trauma that they've gone through and what they've experienced.
Right.
And so a lot of times they're resisting change. Why? Because they're wanting and needing that validation first. And so when people say, well, this isn't fair.
Right.
People will respond and say, it's not fair, but you need to notice but.
Yep.
Or they'll say, and what are you going to do about it? And so there's all this emphasis upon change and people are resisting. And a lot of times with ourselves and with others, when we notice that resistance, it's usually because there's no leading with validation first. And it's amazing. I've seen this happen where I saw a son and a father on my couch talking, and he's saying, Dad, I'm doing the best I can.
Okay.
And he kept saying, you need to be practicing more. You need to be doing more.
The dad was saying?
Yes.
Okay.
And thank you. And then, they were going back and forth and back and forth. And he was getting more entrenched with,
I'm already doing what I need.
Yeah.
What I can. Yep.
So I kind of looked at Dad and I winked, and he caught it.
Okay.
And he said, I can see you are trying.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was sincere. And he said,
Good.
you're right. I can see you are trying. And it was so cool because what I saw as the dad did this, the kid didn't even realize what he did. He put his arm up on his dad and he said, thanks, Dad. That's really what I needed to hear. And the power struggle ended.
Whoa.
Almost instantaneous. It was instantaneous.
It was instantaneously.
Yeah.
See?
Because he was needing that validation.
Yep.
And that actually was the power to help him embrace the change he needs to make in his life.
Nice. Sounds like a really powerful moment.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Yep. Wow.
So I think we've highlighted a lot of these dialectical balances that have to happen. And the reason we get caught is because we're out of balance, really. We're emphasizing one to the exclusion of the other.
Sure. Well, this, I think, was a great primer for the assumptions. I can't wait to dig into the next ones on the next episode.
Let's do that. Yeah. Let's stop here. We did the best we could today.
We did. We did the best we could. And next episode, we need to do better.
We can do better.
We can try harder.
Yes.
Here on Everyday Therapy.
Well, we hope you all can do that as well. Just really lead with validation, saying, I really am. I'm trying hard. I'm doing the best I can. And I can still do better. I mean, who can't do better?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll catch you on the next one, everybody.
Thank you as always for listening, and please be sure to leave us a review. While this podcast can't be a replacement for therapy, we hope you enjoyed our discussion today and join us again next time. Nystrom & Associates is always available to those who are struggling. If you find yourself in need of support and help, please check us out at nystromcounseling.com.